Welcome to part 2 of my visit to M2 in Munich, Germany. I'm Paulo Leite, record collector, and this is one of my favorite record stores in Europe. On part 1, we explored soul, funk, disco, and 60s and 70s rock CDs. Now, on the left side of the shop, we'll find pop music. There's a lot of it. Alto American from 1980 by Blondie. This is the 2001 edition that contains Call Me on its original long version, and a fascinating version of Rapture, the special disco mix, clocking in at almost 10 minutes. I may take this one, but there's plenty more Blondie. This edition of Plastic Letters from 1978 contains the demo Once I Had a Love, a very funky song that later evolved into the classic Heart of Glass. Lots of Bee Gees. And who doesn't love Christopher Cross? Lots of Chicago. I have always enjoyed Electric Light Orchestra. They had such a unique sound. H2O from 1982 by Hall & Oates. This album contains Man Eater and other great songs. Somehow, this album is quite hard to find. I rarely see it on record stores. Very Relentless from 1993 by the Pet Shop Boys. This is the special edition with the soft case containing 2 albums, Very and the bonus album Relentless. Recently, they released Relentless as a standalone album. This single has a great extended mix of one of their best songs. The boys have released tons of singles along their career. I used to collect them. Now, on this shelf right here, all the way around the room, we find the movie soundtracks. And this collection is one of the best I have ever seen. We start with James Bond CDs. If you like digging for soundtrack CDs, M2 is the place for you, because it is amazing. As we progress, soon we start to find some amazing albums. Like The Bad Seed, the 1956 shocker with the stunning Patty McCormack. This is a mono edition, just like the original vinyl LP. And as I flip through the collection, I see more and more great soundtracks. Mario Bava's Black Sunday and Baron Blood, with music by Les Baxter. Now, Les Baxter is a name not a lot of people today remember. However, he was an amazing composer, arranger, band leader, and record producer. He did lots of easy listening, Exotica, and movie soundtracks, all in great quantities. I'm such a big fan. If you are enjoying this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I have plenty of great records and record shops to show you. Thanks. Lots of soundtracks from European movies, especially German, French and Italian movies. The Ennio Morricone section is one of the best I have ever seen, with several albums you will not find everywhere. Like Assoluto Naturale from 1969, absolutely beautiful. And these two, I Malamondo from 1964 and La Tarantola dal Ventre Nero from 1971. Ad ogni costo from 1967, La Donna Invisibile from 1969. Another master Italian composer, Nino Rota, composed La Dolce Vita in 1960, one of the most beautiful films ever made, and the soundtrack is right up there. M2 has indeed one of the best movie soundtrack collections I have ever seen. There is also a very good Disney section. Oh, The Vampire Lovers from 1970. Now that is a fun album. Once we get to the end of the movie soundtrack section, on the display below, we find oldies and male vocals. The selection is very good. A few meters ahead, right under German music at the top display, we find the female vocals. There is an Austrian pop section, of course. And some schlager. Back in the German section, I have to admit, I have always loved Nina Hagen. I first saw her singing at the very first Rock in Rio back in 1985. I loved her. Just like we saw with blues, country occupies a space on the larger center display. Here we can find names like Garth Brooks, Emmylou Harris, Johnny Cash, Dolly Parton, John Denver, Harry Chapin, Gail Davis, and so many others. After country, there is a great section of easy listening with some truly amazing titles. Exotica Volume 2 from 1958 by Martin Denny. I'm a big fan of Martin Denny. The bird sounds were fake, but I love those records. M2 has a great selection of easy listening. Morton Gould, Horst Jankowski, Bert Kaempfert, George Malacrino, More or Less Baxter, Stan Kenton, and of course, James Last. This Easy Tempo Volume 1, released in 1996, is a great compilation with several cues from Italian movies and production music. There are lots of these compilations today with mainly new trash, but the ones released in the 90s are the best. There's a new age section, something you don't see often in record stores, and this one is fairly good. And they also have lounge, chill, as well as electro, and the collections are pretty good. More electro here and here. Now let's talk about metal. The metal section is quite vast, occupying this entire bottom display, all the way and back. Lots of Motorhead, Primal Fear, these are Germans. Of course they have Sepultura. Beyond the big names, there's lots of European and Scandinavian metal. The Morning After, 1988, from Tankard, another German band from Frankfurt. Bloodlines, 2023, by Tigers of Pantang. Metalizer, 2007, by Sabaton, they're Swedish, just like ABBA. Love is a Dangerous Game, 1989, by Stormwave, Austrians. They did not last long, but they were very good. Natural Born Chaos, 2002, by Soilworks, another one from Sweden. Mustache, 2009, by Mustache. Yes, Sweden does it again. Plenty of good stuff here. Great Japanese editions. They always have something more we don't get. One more song, one more video, a different mix, or just the best sounding quality. Don't you just hate the Japanese? There is also a section titled Melodic Rock that occupies the display on top of heavy metal. I confess I was puzzled by the classification, but we are in Germany, and the Germans will classify the shift out of anything. Lots of well-known rock bands here, and tons of bands I never seen before. I found this to be a very interesting section with lots of albums and artists to discover. Going further back into the shop, we find another fascinating section, indie rock, and it goes all the way into melodic rock. Tons of great artists here, and it's interesting because while I was browsing the previous sections, I felt I was missing a few bands like Pixies, the Ramones, Nirvana, and Joy Division. But now that I see an indie section, it all makes sense. Die Toten Hosen is a great punk band from Düsseldorf. They started in 1982 and have released some amazing albums. So, there is one section for 60s and 70s rock, one for pop, one for singers, one for melodic rock, one for metal, and finally one for indie rock. M2 is really well organized. Now let's talk about jazz. Some incredible albums can be found here. This Tony Bennett is awesome. Who Can I Turn To was released in 1964 and contains several memorable songs like Autumn Leaves, Behind the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea, as well as the title song. Stepping Into Tomorrow from 1975 by Donald Byrd. Stunning album. One of the first jazz albums I've ever bought. The Second Crusade from 1973 by the Crusaders. Oh, I'm getting this one. Pass the Plate from 1971 is another great album. This is their first album after they dropped jazz from the Jazz Crusaders and became just the Crusaders. The drums in Young Rabbits are insane. Out of the Cool from 1961 by the Gil Evans Orchestra. Oh, I love this one. Really Big from 1960 by the Jimmy Heath Orchestra. This one deserves to be rediscovered. And here's another Jimmy Heath, Triple Threat from 1962. The Champ from 1974 by Sonny Stitt. Awesome album. But why did they have to change the cover? Oh, Midnight Special from 1961 by Jimmy Smith. I had this one on vinyl, and I gave it to a dear, dear friend. So much great stuff. Great Quincy Jones, Walking in Space from 1969. Valerie Simpson sings the title track. Wow, Friedrich Gulda at Birdland, 1957. Gulda was an amazing composer and classical pianist with an impressive number of classical music albums. However, he was deeply involved in the jazz scene. A very nice Herbie Hancock box, very cheap. Very nice Egberto Gismonti titles. He is absolutely amazing. It's not because he's Brazilian, but it helps. Now, on that aisle we have classical music. And here's Friedrich Gulda again with an amazing Mozart album. He was brilliant in everything he did. And over there, on those shelves, classical music box sets. Let's take a look. You can find some very nice box sets here. Back to Gulda, he recorded an album in 1971 titled The Long Road to Freedom, for which he composed variations on Light My Fire by The Doors. This album was never released on CD. This Stravinsky and Karl Orff is amazing. By the way, Karl Orff was born here in Munich in 1895. That was 130 years ago. What else have we got here? Oh, you can never go wrong with Ton Koopman. There is also plenty of Latin American music. This Quarteto in C compilation is a great introduction to their work and also the work of composer Vinícius de Moraes. Elis Regina is arguably the best female singer in Brazilian music ever. For those who don't know her, oh, you totally should. We and the Sea from 1967 by Tamba Quatro, which was Tamba Trio with a different lineup. They were amazing. Plenty of reggae. Plenty of European music, Italian, French, and Spanish mostly. Under the displays, you'll find Christmas albums and singles. Yes, lots of them. M2 has an incredible collection. This is one of the best used record stores in Europe. Obviously one of my favorites. Now, I haven't yet touched their vinyl collection, and believe me, there's a lot to see. So, I'm gonna have to break the video again, and I'm gonna get myself some delicious schnitzel. And when I come back on part 3, we'll explore their vinyl collection. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. There is more great content coming soon. Thank you.